Before streaming, before social media, before movie scenes became clips on the internet, there was one film that changed American cinema forever. That film was The Godfather. Released in 1972, The Godfather was not just a gangster movie. It became a legend. It gave audiences the Corleone family, a world of power, loyalty, betrayal, silence, and consequences. It gave us Don Vito Corleone, Michael Corleone, Sonny, Fredo, Tom Hagen, Connie, Kay, Clemenza, Tessio, Carlo, and so many unforgettable faces. But more than 5 decades have passed since The Godfather first arrived in theaters. The actors who once sat around the Corleone family table are no longer all here. Some became Hollywood icons. Some left us far too early. Some lived long enough to see the film become one of the greatest movies ever made. And some, even in 2026, remain as living links to that golden era of cinema. So today, we are going one by one through the cast of The Godfather, remembering the stars we lost, the lives they lived after the film, and who remains with us today. Number 1 is Marlon Brando, who played Don Vito Corleone. For many viewers, Marlon Brando was the face, the voice, and the soul of The Godfather. His performance as Don Vito Corleone became one of the most famous acting performances in film history. He did not play Vito as a loud gangster. He played him like a king, a father, a tired old man, and a dangerous figure all at once. With his quiet voice, slow movements, and heavy presence, Brando created a character who could control a room without raising his volume. Every pause felt important. Every look felt like a warning. Every sentence sounded like it had years of history behind it. Before The Godfather, Brando had already been one of the most important actors in Hollywood. But by the late 1960s, his career had slowed down, and some people in the industry doubted whether he could still carry a major film. Then The Godfather happened, and everything changed again. His role brought him back to the top and gave the film its moral center. Even though Vito Corleone lived in a criminal world, that was the power of Brando's performance. He made audiences fear the Don, but he also made them understand why his family loved him. Marlon Brando died in 2004 at the age of 80. Today, he is no longer with us, but Don Vito Corleone still feels alive every time the film begins. His presence remains so powerful that even people who have never watched the full movie recognize the image of the Godfather sitting in his dark office. Al Pacino is one of the most important remaining stars from The Godfather. In the beginning of the film, Michael Corleone is different from the rest of his family. He is a war hero. He is quiet. He is educated. He sits apart from the family business and tells Kay that his family's world is not his world. But slowly, step by step, Michael changes. That transformation is the heart of The Godfather. Pacino did not play Michael with big emotions at first. He played him with control. That made the change even more chilling. We watch a young man who seems separate from the darkness slowly become the most dangerous person in the family. He does not explode like Sonny. He does not charm like Vito. He absorbs everything, waits, and then acts. Number 2 is Al Pacino, who played Michael Corleone. At the time, Al Pacino was not the giant Hollywood name he later became. The Godfather changed his life. It turned him into one of the defining actors of his generation. After this film, Pacino went on to star in classics like Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Scarface, Scent of a Woman, Heat, and many more. As of 2026, Al Pacino is still alive. That makes him one of the strongest living links to the original Godfather legacy. For fans, that matters deeply, because Michael Corleone was not just another character. He was the tragic center of the entire story. When people ask who remains from The Godfather, Al Pacino's name still carries the most weight. Number 3 is James Caan, who played Santino Sonny Corleone. James Caan gave The Godfather its fire. Sonny Corleone was loud, emotional, impulsive, loyal, and dangerous. He was the son who felt everything too quickly. He loved his family, but he could not control his anger. And in the world of The Godfather, that weakness became deadly. Caan played Sonny with explosive energy. Every time he entered a scene, the room changed. He was physical, intense, and unpredictable. The audience could feel that Sonny was powerful, but also vulnerable because of his temper. His death scene became one of the most shocking moments in the film. The ambush at the toll booth is still remembered as one of cinema's most brutal character exits. It was not just the death of a character. It was the moment the Corleone family lost its loudest protector. After The Godfather, James Caan continued to have a long career. He appeared in films like Rollerball, Misery, Thief, Elf, and many others. But for many viewers, Sonny Corleone remained his most unforgettable role. James Caan died in 2022 at the age of 82. His passing was emotional for Godfather fans because Sonny had always felt so alive on screen. Even now, when viewers rewatch the movie, his energy feels impossible to replace. He was the heartbeat of the family before everything became cold and controlled. Number 4 is Robert Duvall, who played Tom Hagen. Robert Duvall played Tom Hagen, the Corleone family consigliere and adopted son. Tom was not born into the family by blood, but he was trusted deeply by Vito Corleone. He was calm, intelligent, professional, and loyal. In a movie filled with emotional men, Tom Hagen was different. He measured his words. He listened. He negotiated. He understood the business side of power. Duvall gave him quiet authority, never overplaying the role, never trying to steal a scene, but always making his presence felt. Tom Hagen was one of the most important figures in the Corleone world because he stood between law, family, and crime. He was educated, polished, and careful, but he was still part of a violent empire. That contradiction made him fascinating. Robert Duvall's career after The Godfather became extraordinary. He appeared in Apocalypse Now, The Great Santini, Tender Mercies, Lonesome Dove, The Apostle, The Judge, and many other major films and television projects. He became known as one of America's greatest character actors. In 2026, Robert Duvall's death became one of the most emotional updates for Godfather fans. He died at the age of 95, leaving behind one of the richest careers in film history. For decades, fans could say that Tom Hagen was still with us. But now, that link is gone. And because of that, The Godfather feels even more like a memorial to a generation of actors we may never see again. Number 5 is Diane Keaton, who played Kay Adams. Diane Keaton played Kay Adams, the woman who loved Michael Corleone before she fully understood what he was becoming. At the beginning of The Godfather, Kay represents the outside world. She is not part of the Corleone family. She is innocent compared with the people around Michael. Through her eyes, the audience sees Michael's transformation from a young man trying to stay separate from the family business into the cold leader of that same family. Keaton brought honesty and softness to the film. Her role was not about crime, violence, or power. It was about trust. It was about a woman slowly realizing that the man she loves has entered a world she cannot control and may never truly understand. Her final scene in the original film is unforgettable. The door closes, and with it, Kay is shut out of Michael's true life. That image became one of the most powerful endings in movie history. After The Godfather, Diane Keaton became one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses. She won an Oscar for Annie Hall and built a career full of memorable performances, unique style, comedy, drama, and emotional honesty. Diane Keaton died in 2025 at the age of 79. Her passing added another heartbreaking layer to the 2026 Godfather cast update. For fans, Kay Adams was the emotional witness to Michael's fall. And now the actress who brought her to life is also gone. Number 6 is Talia Shire, who played Connie Corleone. Talia Shire played Connie Corleone, the daughter of Don Vito Corleone and the sister of Michael, Sonny, and Fredo. In the first film, Connie begins as a bride. The movie opens with her wedding, a celebration filled with music, family, favors, secrets, and power. But her story becomes darker as her marriage to Carlo Rizzi turns painful and abusive. Her suffering becomes one of the triggers that leads Sonny into danger. Shire's performance is emotional because Connie is caught inside the family system. She is loved, protected, controlled, and used by the men around her. Her pain is personal, but its consequences become deadly. Talia Shire later became famous to another generation as Adrian in the Rocky films. That made her part of two of the most iconic film franchises in American cinema. As of 2026, Talia Shire is still alive. That makes her one of the important remaining faces from the original Godfather cast. For fans, her survival matters because Connie was there from the very beginning of the story. She was the bride at the opening wedding, the grieving sister, the wounded wife, and later a stronger figure in the Corleone family. Among the surviving Godfather stars, Talia Shire remains one of the most emotional links to the family at the center of the film. Number 7 is John Cazale, who played Fredo Corleone. John Cazale's story is one of the saddest in Hollywood history. He played Fredo Corleone, the vulnerable middle brother. Fredo was not strong like Sonny. He was not cold like Michael. He was not respected like Tom. He was emotional, insecure, and desperate to matter. In the first Godfather film, Fredo is often seen as weak. But over time, especially in The Godfather Part 2, the tragedy of Fredo becomes one of the deepest parts of the entire saga. He is not evil. He is wounded. He wants respect, but he does not know how to earn it. Cazale's performance was painfully human. He made Fredo unforgettable not through power, but through sadness. Every nervous glance, every awkward movement, every moment of humiliation made the audience feel the tragedy of a man who could never live up to his family name. John Cazale appeared in only a small number of films, but every film he appeared in became highly respected. His career was short, but his impact was enormous. He died in 1978 at only 42 years old after battling cancer. His death came far too early, and it left behind the feeling of a brilliant actor whose full future was stolen. Today, Fredo remains one of the most heartbreaking characters in American cinema, and John Cazale remains one of the greatest examples of how an actor does not need a long career to become unforgettable. Number 8 is Richard S. Castellano, who played Peter Clemenza. Richard S. Castellano played Clemenza, one of Don Vito Corleone's most trusted capo regimes. Clemenza brought warmth, humor, danger, and old-world loyalty to The Godfather. He was both friendly and frightening. One moment, he could talk about food and family. The next, he could carry out violence without hesitation. That combination made him feel completely real inside the Corleone world. Castellano's performance gave the film some of its most memorable supporting moments. Clemenza teaches Michael how to handle himself before one of the most important turning points in the story. He also represents the older generation of the family business, the men who helped build the Corleone empire before Michael took control. Richard S. Castellano was already respected before The Godfather, but Clemenza became the role most people remembered him for. Fans often expected him to return in The Godfather Part 2, but he did not reprise the role, and the story moved in a different direction. Castellano died in 1988 at the age of 55. His death came much earlier than many fans might realize. But his role as Clemenza remains one of the classic supporting performances in the film. Even after all these years, Clemenza feels like someone who belonged to that world completely. Number 9 is Abe Vigoda, who played Sal Tessio. Abe Vigoda played Sal Tessio, another longtime Corleone family figure. Tessio was calm, serious, and intelligent. He was not as warm as Clemenza, but he had the feeling of a man who had survived for years by understanding power. He was close to Vito Corleone, but when the family changed, Tessio made a fatal decision. His betrayal is one of the quietest and most devastating moments in The Godfather. It does not happen with screaming or chaos. It happens with silence, calculation, and disappointment. Abe Vigoda's face was perfect for the role. He had tired eyes, a heavy presence, and a look that suggested a man who had seen too much. Later, he became widely known for Barney Miller and Fish, building a television legacy beyond The Godfather. For many years, Vigoda also became the subject of mistaken death reports and running jokes about whether he was alive or not. But in real life, he lived a long life. Abe Vigoda died in 2016 at the age of 94. His role as Tessio remains powerful because it shows one of the central truths of The Godfather. In that world, loyalty is everything, and betrayal is never forgiven. Number 10 is Johnny Russo, who played Carlo Rizzi. Johnny Russo played Carlo Rizzi, Connie's husband, and one of the most hated characters in the film. Carlo enters the family through marriage, but he is never truly accepted as an equal. His treatment of Connie is cruel, and his betrayal of Sonny leads to one of the most devastating deaths in the movie. Russo's performance made Carlo feel weak, ambitious, and dangerous in a cowardly way. He was not powerful like the Corleones. He was not respected, but his choices caused enormous damage. What makes Johnny Russo especially interesting is that The Godfather was his first major acting role. Unlike many of the other cast members, he was not a trained Hollywood star with a long resume before the film. Yet he ended up playing a character who became essential to the story. After The Godfather, Russo continued acting and also became known for telling colorful stories about his life, his connections, and his experiences around the film. Some of those stories have become part of Godfather fan curiosity, even when fans debate details. As of 2026, Johnny Russo is still alive. That makes him one of the remaining actors from the original film with a memorable speaking role. For fans, Carlo may be hated, but Johnny Russo's place in Godfather history is secure. Without Carlo's betrayal, Sonny's tragic ending would not have happened the same way. Number 11 is Al Lettieri, who played Virgil Sollozzo. Al Lettieri played Sollozzo, also known as the Turk. Sollozzo is the man who brings the drug business into the Corleone family's world and sets the central conflict in motion. His proposal to Vito Corleone creates tension, and his attack on the Don changes everything. Lettieri gave Sollozzo a dangerous calm. He did not play him as wild or reckless. Sollozzo was controlled, confident, and strategic. That made him feel even more threatening. His scenes with Michael are especially important. The restaurant scene, where Michael makes his first real step into violence, is one of the greatest turning points in cinema. Sollozzo believes he is dealing with a young outsider, but he underestimates what Michael is becoming. Al Lettieri had a memorable screen presence and often played tough, dangerous men. Sadly, he died in 1975 at the age of 47, only a few years after The Godfather was released. Because he died so young, many fans never got to see the full career he might have had. But as Sollozzo, he left behind a performance that remains central to the film's entire plot. Number 12 is Sterling Hayden, who played Captain McCluskey. Sterling Hayden played Captain McCluskey, the corrupt police captain who protects Sollozzo. McCluskey is not on screen for the entire film, but his role is extremely important. He represents corruption outside the mafia world. He shows that power in The Godfather does not only belong to crime families. It also exists in police departments, politics, and business. Hayden played McCluskey with arrogance and rough authority. He seemed completely sure that his badge protected him. That confidence makes his fate in the restaurant scene even more shocking. Sterling Hayden had a fascinating life beyond The Godfather. He was a sailor, a writer, a war veteran, and a film actor with a rugged screen image. He had appeared in major films long before The Godfather, including The Asphalt Jungle and Dr. Strangelove. He died in 1986 at the age of 70. In The Godfather, McCluskey may be a supporting character, but he is part of one of the most important scenes in the movie. His death marks the moment Michael can never return to the life he once claimed he wanted. Number 13 is John Marley, who played Jack Woltz. John Marley played Jack Woltz, the powerful Hollywood studio head. His role is one of the most memorable examples of The Godfather showing power outside the mafia itself. Woltz is rich, arrogant, and used to getting his way. He refuses to help Johnny Fontaine, believing he is untouchable. But the Corleone family sends him a message he can never ignore. Marley's performance worked because he made Woltz feel like a man who believed his world was bigger than everyone else's. He thought Hollywood power could protect him. But The Godfather showed that there were other kinds of power moving in the shadows. John Marley had a long acting career before and after The Godfather. He appeared in many films and television shows and was respected as a strong character actor. He died in 1984 at the age of 76. Even though his role is brief, Jack Woltz remains one of the characters viewers never forget. His section of the film helped establish just how far the Corleone family could reach. Number 14 is Al Martino, who played Johnny Fontaine. Al Martino played Johnny Fontaine, the famous singer and godson of Don Vito Corleone. Johnny's story appears early in the film and helps show how Vito's power works. Johnny comes to the Don asking for help with a Hollywood role that could save his career. Through Johnny, the audience learns that The Godfather's influence reaches far beyond New York crime. It reaches entertainment, business, politics, and personal favors. Al Martino was already a real singer before appearing in The Godfather, which gave his role an interesting layer. He understood the world of performance, music, fame, and pressure. His casting and the inspiration behind Johnny Fontane have long been subjects of fan discussion, especially because many viewers connected the character to real entertainment world legends. But inside the film, Johnny's purpose is clear. He shows what it means to be connected to the Corleone family and what kind of help the Don can provide. Al Martino died in 2009 at the age of 82. For many viewers, Johnny Fontane is not the central character, but he is part of the film's unforgettable opening world. His presence helps make the wedding sequence feel alive with favors, debts, music, and family power. Number 15 is Morgana King, who played Carmela Corleone. Morgana King played Carmela Corleone, the wife of Don Vito Corleone and mother of the Corleone children. Her role in the film is quiet, but important. Carmela represents the family side of the Corleone world. While Vito controls power in the dark office, Carmela is part of the home, the wedding, the traditions, the music, and the old world family structure. Morgana King was also a respected jazz singer. Her musical background gave her presence a graceful quality, especially in the wedding scenes. She was not given the kind of dramatic speeches that Brando, Pacino, or Khan had, but her role helped complete the family atmosphere. The Godfather is powerful because it blends crime with family life. Carmela is part of that balance. She reminds the audience that this is not only a story about men making violent decisions. It is also a story about a family system built around tradition, silence, loyalty, and pain. Morgana King died in 2018 at the age of 87. Today, her presence in the film feels even more nostalgic. She is part of the old family table, part of the music, part of the wedding, and part of the world that Michael eventually inherits and destroys from within. Now, after going through the cast one by one, the question becomes, who remains from The Godfather in 2026? Al Pacino is still with us. Talia Shire is still with us. Johnny Russo is still with us. John Martino is still with us. Simonetta Stefanelli is still with us. Robert De Niro, from Part 2, is still with us. Francis Ford Coppola is still with us. But many of the legendary faces are gone. Marlon Brando is gone. James Caan is gone. Robert Duvall is gone. Diane Keaton is gone. John Cazale is gone. Richard S. Castellano is gone. Abe Vigoda is gone. Al Lettieri is gone. Sterling Hayden is gone. John Marley is gone. Al Martino is gone. Morgana King is gone. Lenny Montana is gone. That is why The Godfather feels different in 2026. When audiences first watched it, it was a powerful crime drama. Today, it is also a time capsule. We are watching young actors, many now gone, create something that outlived all of them. Brando still sits in the dark office. Pacino still begins as the quiet son who says he is different. Khan still explodes with Sonny's anger. Duvall still watches and calculates as Tom Hagen. Keaton still stands outside Michael's closed door. Cazale still carries Frito's sadness. Shire still begins the film as a bride surrounded by music and family. Clemenza and Tessio still represent the old guard. Carlo still betrays. Sollozzo still tempts. McCluskey still underestimates Michael. And the Corleone family still pulls viewers into its world. More than 5 decades later, The Godfather is not remembered only because of crime or violence. It is remembered because of faces, voices, silences, betrayals, family dinners, closed doors, wedding music, dark rooms, and the feeling that every choice has a price. The stars we lost did not disappear from cinema. Their work remains. Their faces remain. Their scenes remain. Every time someone watches The Godfather, Marlon Brando lives again for a few hours. James Caan walks into the frame with that fiery, sunny energy. Diane Keaton becomes Kay again, hoping Michael is still the man she thought he was. Robert Duvall becomes Tom Hagen again, calm and careful in a world built on danger. John Cazale becomes Fredo again, heartbreaking and human. And the stars who remain carry the final living connection to that world. Al Pacino is not just Al Pacino to Godfather fans. He is Michael Corleone, the man who lost his soul while gaining power. Talia Shire is not just Talia Shire. She is Connie, the daughter who survived the family's storms. Johnny Russo, John Martino, and Simonetta Stefanelli are reminders that even smaller roles in The Godfather became permanent parts of movie history. Robert De Niro and Francis Ford Coppola remind us that the Corleone saga became larger than one film. The Godfather was a story about family, power, loyalty, betrayal, and time. And in the end, time may be the most powerful force of all. It took Brando. It took Khan. It took Duvall. It took Keaton. It took Cazale. It took so many unforgettable faces from the family table. But time has not taken the film. The Godfather still feels alive. It still feels dangerous. It still feels elegant. It still feels tragic. New generations continue to discover it, and older fans continue to return to it, not only for the story, but for the actors who made that story feel real. So in 2026, The Godfather cast update is more emotional than ever. Some stars remain. Many have taken their final bow. But together, they created a film that escaped time. And maybe that is why The Godfather is still remembered as one of the greatest films ever made. Because actors may leave us, but legends stay at the table forever.